Welcome back. So as you can see from the title of this video, we are talking about organizing your hoard or your stash of stuff for resale, especially when you're feeling like it's out of control. And that happens to all of us. You do not have to be a hoarder to find that there are moments when you are living in a hoarder house. I am living in a hoarder house right now, and I am going to embarrass myself by sharing this with you today when we come back. Well, I don't think Audie is going to be with us today. I found him sleeping on top of the washing machine for some reason, so I picked him up and put him on the bed and turned the fan on for him because when I touched the washing machine, it actually felt rather cool to the touch. And I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe he's just feeling warm. So he's in the bed and the fan's going and he's on his back with his little paws up, letting the breeze waft over his belly. Surprise me, it's only about 70 here today, but apparently with that nice black fur coat, he's getting a little warm. So I don't think we're going to be seeing him. I think he's very happy in the bedroom, but I don't know. Once he figures out we're doing filming, he might make a visit. So what we're talking about today is how to get a handle on the crap when the crap is out of control. So let me start by humiliating myself publicly and showing you what my kitchen table looks like right now. And please do not think that's bad, because here is my living room. So how does this happen? How do things get this crazy? I mean, I know for me, it's because I lost all of my storage, when the tree fell on the schoolhouse. And I know some of you have asked about this, what's going on with the schoolhouse. Well, what's going on with the schoolhouse is my contractor walked off the job in high dudgeon about 5 months ago. And that's a redundancy, by the way, because there's no such thing as low dudgeon. Dudgeon, this is going to be our word for the day. We haven't done this for a while because we're doing Wordy Wednesdays now. But we might as well, because dudgeon is a great word and it's not used anywhere near as often as it should be. So dudgeon is a state of feeling great offense or resentment. Not a little bit, a lot. Therefore, high dudgeon would be a redundancy because there is no low dudgeon. It's great offense, great resentment. It's not minor. And it's a state rather than a feeling because one is in dudgeon. So when I say my contractor walked off in high dudgeon, basically that's the proper use of the word. I wouldn't say, for example, my contractor walked off the job feeling dudgeon or dudgeonous or dudgeonly or no. In dudgeon, so it is a state. Anyway, that happened about 5 months ago, and they spent several months promising to come back, never did. I'm convinced at this point he's not going to, but I'm going to have the roof that he put on taken off and replaced, which means even though there's a roof on the schoolhouse at the moment, it's not up to code, so I don't dare put anything in there, even temporarily, because it's just going to have to come down again, and then I'll be moving stuff back and forth. And I have to tell you, the way my house looks right now, moving stuff back and forth over and over again really looks like a better alternative than what I'm dealing with at the moment. So do you have to have a tree fall on your schoolhouse in order to end up like this? No. Even before the tree fell on the schoolhouse, there were times when I had done a lot of shopping and not a lot of listing. And as a consequence, stuff began to pile up. So, it happens. Life gets complicated. We all have things we have to do. And I have this laundry list of excuses, but I know they are excuses, so I'm not going to bother sharing them with you. But, life goes on, and somehow you manage to find a way to walk around the boxes or have lunch somewhere other than the kitchen table. And knowing that I am not the only person who is coping with this, because I have gotten comments from people who say, it's just so much clutter, I just don't know where to begin. I thought we would take a look at very specifically dealing with this. So let's start off with how I plan to tackle my kitchen table. And I know how I'm going to do it because, as I say, been there, done this. This will be the 4th or 5th time I have gone through this. The first thing I do is I clear off a corner of the table, even if that means stacking things on the floor while I'm doing it. Once I have a corner cleared off, and that corner can be as big or small as your space will allow, that's when I start going through whatever is left on the table, including the stuff that I've stacked up on the floor, and I start pulling out the things that I believe will sell quickly. For me, quick is an issue because I need to move it out of here. And that's the only thing that's going to solve my problem, getting the stuff to leave my house. So if you have a state of great clutter, that is your permanent solution. Your temporary solution can be boxing it away, sticking it in the attic, or my next door neighbors are hoarders legitimately. It's like they don't want anything to happen to their hoard. Me, I'm desperate to be rid of mine. I think that's what makes me only sort of a temporary hoarder. Boxing things and stacking them. My next door neighbors have their garage and their breezeway completely full of boxes, and they leave the breezeway door open in the summer, and Audie goes into their house. He goes right, I've seen him do it, marches right over, right into their house. And of course, they're hoarders. They don't know. I mean, I've apologized to them. I've said, look, I'm sorry, my cat was in your house. And they're like, huh? Because there's so much stuff there, they don't notice a little cat prowling through it. Very embarrassing. But it's not a permanent solution to just box things up. The only way to deal with this permanently is to get the stuff that is cluttering your space and send it off to somebody else's space. And the most constructive way of doing that is to sell it. Now, I know for a lot of you, you're probably thinking, but if I just shove it into boxes and bring it to Goodwill, sure, great. And if you can afford to go through the contents of your house every 6 months and make a charitable donation of everything you've purchased, God bless you. I'm glad you are that affluent, and I'm glad that you are sharing it with others. But for most of us, the idea of donating everything to Goodwill every few months is just not in the cards because we can't afford to do it. We have money invested in these things that we purchased. the solution, of course, is to sell it. So when you've got that corner cleared off, start picking things that you believe will sell quickly. Now, how do you define something that's going to sell quickly? Well, the first thing is it in good condition? Are all the parts there, all the pieces? It's not broken, it's not damaged, the paint isn't flaking off, etc. Well, unless, of course, you are dealing with rustic items, in which case, scratches and scrapes and paint peeling off is just part of the charm. When you've got the stuff, clean it. Don't put it back in that corner until you've taken it to the sink and washed it off. Bang. It's in your corner. And when you have 5 or 6 of these items in your little corner, that's when you're going to find another spot. Or, and this is another possibility, instead of putting them directly in your corner, you use your empty corner. But you need to set up your photo booth. Now, because you're not going to photograph everything in the middle of a hoard of table stuff. No, not even close. So you don't have a photo booth. I did a video some time ago. I am putting a link in the comment. I'll pin a comment. And the reason I'm pinning a comment is because when you put a link in the video notes, YouTube does not always put the complete link in there. So I'm putting it in the comments. This is a link to the video I did on how to create a photo booth in 10 minutes for $2. So you don't have a little photo booth? Do you have $2? Do you have 10 minutes? I'm sure. Make your little photo booth. Get your things photographed. Now, as I say, 2 ways to do it. Photograph it as soon as you've got it washed, or stack it up in that corner and then take them off with your photo booth, which is small and portable and can sit on a chair, on a stool, on the floor, on your lap, if that's how you have to do it. Get your photographs and then do half a dozen more. Then you're going to find very quickly that your little space is all filled up with stuff. Pull more stuff off the table. Now, once you've got at least, say, 12 to 20 items cleaned, ready for resale, photographed, etc., that's when you start your listings. And I would suggest, because this is how I do it when I feel like things are out of control, and right now I'm behind on my Etsy listings. I think I've got 8 or 10 items. Got to start listing. I give myself a daily quota of listings. So I am in listing mode now because I have to, because you've seen the pictures, I've got no choice. So now I'm looking at this saying, I need to list at least 6 items a day. And 6, by the way, is a very low number. Now, why wouldn't I say a higher number? Well, I know for a lot of you, listing is a chore. Listing is a chore for me on Etsy. It's much easier for me on eBay because I'm familiar with the system and I can just buzz it off. And frankly, I find it an easier system to work with because they don't have the same size of photograph restrictions that Etsy has. And that's one of the things that makes listing annoying for me. Also, because I do detailed listings, and I would suggest that. I would never suggest to anyone, well, if you want to, get a lot of listings done, cut corners. I find that people want to know the dimensions of the item. They do not want to see a ruler. They want you to write it out for them. They want to know the weight of the item. They don't want to see a picture of the item on a scale. That's not what people really want. And they don't want just 1 or 2 pictures. In most cases, if you're selling an item, you want to be able to provide people with at least 4 pictures so you get all the sides of the item. And there are a couple of reasons for a lot of pictures. Not just buyers want to see the underside. They want you to know, or they want to know that you are not hiding any defects. But if there are ever issues with shipping damage, a full batch of photos in your listing will be enough to show that the item was not damaged prior to shipment. So that could come in very handy for you. So then you start your listings, and then you move on to the next section of your table, or your dresser, or your bookshelf, or in my case, your living room floor. Just keep moving on. Now, you will find that at some point, if you've done everything you're supposed to do, your table or your bookcase or dresser or living room floor is going to be still full of stuff, but they're all going to be cleaned. They're all going to be listed because they will have been photographed and the listings will have been written up. And that's the point at which they're going to be moving out as you make your sales. So the most important thing to remember is 90% of this is right between your ears. It's all psychological. When you let things spin out of control, and I'm not saying that's bad, we all let things spin out of control, and you got proof right in front of you that I did it. And I do it all the time. This is not an isolated incident. This is not like, oh my goodness, this is what her house looks like and it'll never look like this again. I promise you, 6 months from now, I'll probably be looking at the same sort of thing, even once I get this cleaned up, because something else will happen and I will get behind and, life goes on. So don't beat yourself up because you let things spiral out of control. That's life. And right now, I think most of us are in a sort of vaguely anxious state. We all know there are issues going on. Our lives are not what they were a year ago. Everything's different. Everything's changing. For some of us, we are just utterly panic-stricken, worried about friends and family, and, is everyone safe? Are we safe? For others, we're waiting for the other shoe to fall. They were saying, and they have been saying right along, that we could see another outbreak and we could be back on lockdown and etc. And I know in my area, we had a period of about 3 months with lifted restrictions, and suddenly about a month ago, the restrictions started clamping down again. So I think around here, we are looking at another period of lockdown. It just seems to be that's the direction we're moving in. And all kinds of things have become difficult. Customer service, oh my, that's one I'm having trouble with, because I do a lot of online purchasing and ordering, and it goes well 90% of the time, but that final 10% of the time you need customer service to intervene and help you out. Well, good heavens, they're all working from home now in their jammies with their lap full of pizza crumbs, and I've actually spoken to customer service representatives who were on the clock, who told me they had to put me on hold because while they're doing this, they are homeschooling their children. And they're not homeschooling. That's why I put it in air quotes. Schooling a child, education is a full-time job. And anyone who's ever been an educator of any sort will tell you that you can't school your child while you are working as a customer service representative. But that's what's going on, and I get it. People's kids are out of school and, they don't have daycare. And yeah, things are a mess out there. And we are indeed feeling the impact. I'm getting very annoyed because as a homeowner, I pay school taxes as part of my property taxes, and I'm thinking, why am I paying school taxes if the kids aren't in school? Come on, what's going on here? Because I'm paying for a service the parents are not getting because, like it or not, a big part of the public education system is daycare. And and by the way, you don't get to argue with me on that one because that is a fact. Educators all know this, and it's just one that we generally don't talk about, but trust me, it's a fact. So things are getting difficult emotionally for people. People are getting stressed, and it's easy to let things get out of hand when you're stressed because your energies are not focused in the same direction they were before the crisis hit. So, most important thing to take away from this is don't beat yourself up if you let things get out of control. We all do it. It's the way it is. But one step at a time, go after it slowly. And just, if you continue to make little bits of progress, you will get there. So that is, in a nutshell, my advice to the hoarders among us. And yes, not necessarily hoarders. I do not consider myself a hoarder at all, but I'm currently living in a hoarder house. You saw that. How else could you possibly describe that? That's a hoarder house. That is what a hoarder house looks like. How do you define a hoarder? A hoarder is a person who lives in a hoarder house. Duh. So I've got to sort of step back and redefine, because that's the reality I'm in right now. But I need to take steps to get out of it. And of course we all do. And we all have different issues. I know for some of us, downsizing, selling the house after the kids have moved off and moving into a condo or an apartment means more stuff than we have space to accommodate. Perfectly normal. But the most important thing to remember is that it's not your fault. This is not like you being bad. This is a relatively normal reaction to a very abnormal set of circumstances. So I hope this helped, because I'd hate to think I humiliated myself by showing you this crap for nothing. And do rest assured, I am gathering things up to do my listings. Oh, and I am currently interviewing new contractors to deal with the roof so I get my storage back, because my problem is I have more stuff than I have space to house it, and I never had any intention of keeping the stuff for myself to begin with. It was all destined for sale. So, am I ordinarily this disorganized? No, of course not. Ordinarily, I still do have 3 very large, like picnic-sized tables out in the schoolhouse where I can lay everything out very nicely and very neatly. It's all organized and I know where everything is, but I can't do that right now. So, we gotta go. Okay. Let's see. What do I need? You know what? I don't think there's anything, no newsworthy stuff I need to share with you. What a break that is. Okay. So we're going to close off with our nice, serene little horizon scenes. And you've seen the chaos of my house, so you know I need a little serenity somewhere, and I'm sure the rest of you do too. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day.